Hi everyone, my name is Kylie James. I'm a certified nutritionist here at Kuro Nutrition, and I'm here today to talk about comparing four common lifestyle diets. There's so many diets out there, it can be overwhelming, even for us as clinicians. The low FODMAPs diet, the ketogenic diet, the anti inflammatory diet, the vegetarian diet. And even within those diets, there's specific rules and guidelines as well. So I wanted to talk about four common, I'll say, lifestyle diets, the pros and cons for each. And yeah, we'll get stuck into it. So, the reason why I wanted to do this presentation was I was actually stumbled across a USA News and World report that actually analyzed 39 different diets out there. And it gave ratings on the best overall diet, the easiest to follow, the best weight loss diet, the fastest weight loss. So I thought it was actually really interesting going through all the different diets and actually see where they were rated in comparison with other diets out there. So for the complete list of this, I actually have put it in here in the PowerPoint presentation. And this was based on the 2021 list. So the four diets that I specifically want to talk about today is the Mediterranean diet, which has been around for ever, and ton of research on the Mediterranean diet. The vegetarian diet, which has also been around for years and years. The flexitarian diet, which is a new diet, and I was only just introduced to this recently, so I'm excited to share this with you today. And the paleo diet, which has also been around for a while. So let's have a look at the Mediterranean diet. So this is a traditional cultural diet that Italians and Greeks follow. It's very rich in plant-based foods, so lots of fruits and vegetables, lots of whole grains, legumes, potatoes, nuts, and seeds. So what makes the Mediterranean diet so special, I mean, it's whole foods, but it's the amount of fats that it has in it. So it's got a lot of good quality fats, a lot of olives and olive oil. And there's a lot of research specifically around olives and olive oil. Moderate amount of fish, chicken, dairy, and eggs. Red meat plays a smaller role in the Mediterranean diet. And what I love about the Mediterranean diet is you're allowed to have moderate intake of red wine, which is full of antioxidants and it does have health properties, providing that we consume it in moderation. So, of course, it focuses on avoiding all sugar sweetened beverages, processed foods, meats, refined grains, refined oils, the foods that we typically consume in a standard Western diet. So, what I found super interesting that in that rating that the US news report gave, it was rated number one out of the top in the top six. So it was rated number one in best diet for healthy eating, number one for the easiest diet to follow, number one for the best diet for diabetes, number one for best heart health diet, number one for best plant-based diet. So it's heavily focused on plants, but it does include meat as well. And number one for best diet overall. So the Mediterranean diet gets a big shout out for being extremely delicious, easy to follow, super nurturing and nourishing, and great for heart health. Anything that's good for the heart is good for the brain as well. So a lot of those good quality fats and those whole foods. So I knew Mediterranean diet is rated up there and is really good, but I was surprised just how much how positive it is in terms of like its rating against other diets. So, what are the health benefits of the Mediterranean diet? Well, it is the most researched diet out there. It's been around for centuries, and tons of studies have been done on the Mediterranean diet. It's super flexible, it's easy to follow, it's delicious. And because of the fiber and all that good fats, you just feel satiated. So, you don't get those blood sugar fluctuations. Um, It helps to keep your mood and your energy steady throughout the day. Because of the high fiber intake, it can help prevent those, like I mentioned, those blood sugar fluctuations and improve cholesterol levels. The Mediterranean food plan can affect your physical and mental well-being as well. It's associated with a decreased risk of heart disease, but also Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease as well. So this might be a diet for even the older generation to follow, because it is really good at supporting brain health. So numerous studies have shown that the Mediterranean diet can cause weight loss and help prevent heart attack, stroke, type 2 diabetes, and premature death. So just to give you an example of how powerful the Mediterranean diet is on health, there was a long-term study that was done, and it showed that the risk of combined heart attack, stroke, and death from heart disease was lower by 31% in those that followed the Mediterranean diet with regular consumption of that good olive oil. And it also appeared to reduce the risk of developing type 2 diabetes by 52%. So again, it's a very good lifestyle diet, but also good for disease and health conditions as well. So the pros and cons of the diet. So obviously nutritionally sound, tons of research, a diverse amount of food and flavors. It is delicious, promotes heart health. It helps to prevent and manage diabetes. It's good for mental health, weight management, really helps to reduce those inflammatory markers in the body. So it is considered like an anti-inflammatory diet, which is huge because inflammation is huge for mental health. It has been shown to help with cancer prevention, and it's environmentally friendly. So the cons, some foods can be costly. There may be additional guidance that you may need for certain health conditions. Some dietary restrictions may be challenging. There are concerns that you are allowed to consume alcohol on this diet. So if someone has issues with that, that may be a problem. You may fall short on some nutrients, although I'm not quite clear what nutrients they would be. Maybe the B12 and the iron from the red meat, if you're not consuming too much of that. Now, this was listed as a con, but I think it's actually a positive. No specific guidelines to follow. That might be a pro or a con, depending if you're someone that needs that structure and a clear plan. And it can be time consuming. Like any diet that consists of whole foods, you're preparing meals from scratch. So that's going to take a bit of time. So let's have a look at the vegetarian diet. So again, focuses on whole foods, which is great. So lots of fruits, vegetables, nuts and seeds, fresh dairy, eggs, legumes, lentils, whole grains, but there's absolutely no meat and no seafood. Now, there are different types of vegetarian diets. So lacto-ovo-vegetarians eat both eggs and dairy products. Lacto-vegetarians eat dairy products but not eggs, and ovo-vegetarians eat eggs but not dairy products. So there is a bit of variety within the vegetarian world. Now, vegetarians do need to be careful. So just because someone's a vegetarian doesn't necessarily mean that they're healthy or they're doing it the right way. You really need to make sure that you're combining protein vegetables together. Meat's what's considered a complete protein. So it has all the amino acids that we need. So to get protein from vegetarian sources, you need to combine things like brown rice and legumes together to get all those amino acids, or else you're going to be consuming incomplete proteins. So there is a little bit of planning and coordinating to make sure that you're getting all those amino acids into your diet. The problem is, I've seen with some vegetarians, they can tend to fill up on refined grains and sugar, which in the combination of avoiding meat and seafood can put individuals at risk of nutrient deficiencies. So vegetarians need to take care that they consume adequate amounts of B12, calcium, iron, and zinc. So they may need to supplement if they're not getting it from their food sources. Really need to consume a variety, all those rich colors, etc. It's quite interesting. When I did my nutrition training at school, we had vegetarians start the course, and they actually started to incorporate meat. during the course of the nutrition training. So they obviously saw the value in the meat, not to take away from vegetarians that eating healthy, definitely a place for that. Yeah, you just need to make sure that you're doing it properly. So where was the vegetarian diet ranked? So it was number 9 in best diets overall, number 3 in best plant-based diet, number 21 for the best fast weight loss diet, and number 11 in best weight loss diet. So vegetarian diet is not necessarily the way to go if you want to lose weight. There's definitely a lot better diets out there. Number 7 for best healthy heart diet, number 12 for best diabetes diets, number 11 in best diets for healthy eating, and number 14 for easiest diet to follow. So sort of good middle of the range, the vegetarian diet was sort of rated. So definitely there's other diets that are better for whatever you're trying to achieve. And again, everyone's an individual. So it really, I do feel that picking the right diet for you is definitely based on your biochemistry and metabolism. So, some people do really well on the vegetarian diet and it just works for them, and others don't feel good at all on the diet. So you really have to find what's going to work for your body. So health benefits of the vegetarian diet. So a large cohort study evaluating the vegetarian diet. Researchers found that the group experienced reduced risk of cardiovascular disease, cardiometabolic risk factors, and some cancers. Now, it is interesting. I did my cancer certification course last year. I had 3 uncles with cancer and 2 passed away. And when I did my nutrition training, it was very much focused on plant-based nutrition, getting all those antioxidants from those bright colored fruits and vegetables. So definitely there's value in that if cancer runs in your family. Vegetarians may be up to a third less likely to die or be hospitalized from heart disease and have half the risk of developing type 2 gut diabetes compared to non-vegetarians. Osteoporosis rates were also lower in countries where people followed a vegetarian diet. And the reason being is if we consume a real acidic diet, so lots of grains, lots of red meat, our bodies become acidic, so we have a lower pH. And what happens is our body will try and compensate for that acidity and leach out those calcium and magnesium from our bones into our blood to try and increase and make us more alkaline, to try and help get us into a healthy pH balance. So I can see that definitely makes sense that the vegetarian diet can really help with that. Several studies have shown that people who follow a plant-based diet may lose more weight than those who do not. And a review of studies, including 1,100 participants, determined those consuming a vegetarian diet for 18 weeks lost 4.5 pounds more than participants who weren't. Now, it is interesting if it was, in fact, the vegetarian diet per se, or that they're not consuming processed foods. So, however, there are many diets that provide more effective weight loss, as I've mentioned before, and weight management. So, vegetarianism may not be the optimal weight loss diet for you, or it may. Again, it just boils down to the individuality of your body and your body chemistry. So the pros and cons of the diet: it can reduce disease, it may boost longevity, you may increase food variety. I definitely admit, I'm a meat eater, and one of my favorite restaurants in Toronto is Fresh, which is vegetarian. I just find the colors and the flavors and the taste just absolutely delicious. Improves weight control compared to the standard Western diet. It reduces food costs because meat is expensive. And obviously with that, there's less environmental impact, and there's obviously addresses the ethical treatment of animals. So the cons of the vegetarian diet: so you possibly run nutrient deficiencies such as B12, iron, calcium, and zinc. Fewer food choices. Fiber is going to fill you up, but you may not be getting the fat and the proteins that help to reduce your satiety. So then you could have some hunger issues. It can be less convenient, not always healthy, which I mentioned before. And it may be difficult to follow if you're going around to a friend's place for dinner. Obviously, we're not doing that right now, or dining or going out to restaurants. So there's that sort of management there, like Christmas dinners, etc. There's got to be sort of accommodations for that. So let's have a look at the Flexitarian diet. So again, this is something that is new to me, and I really like the concept of it. So the Flexitarian diet is a meal plan based on a vegetarian diet, but does allow you to consume some meat and seafood on occasion. So Flexitarian, similar to the other diets that we talked about today, you get rid of the processed foods, you're eating whole foods. And it was developed by nutritionist Dawn Jackson Plattner. So she believes that eating a vegetarian diet is the healthiest, but recognizes that giving up meat in its entirety, not everyone's going to do it, and there is some value in consuming meat and seafood. So she designed a balance that keeps meat in the diet, but consumed at reduced amounts, and consists of obviously healthy food to help lose and maintain a healthy weight. So I think this gives a little more openness and flexibility to the vegetarian diet, helps offset some of those issues with the vegetarian diet. So to me, this resonated with me. And as you can see, the ratings for the Flexitarian diet was actually a lot higher than the vegetarian diet. So it was rated number 2 in best diets overall. So obviously, people definitely value the need for lots of whole, fresh fruits and vegetables, but realize having a little bit of good protein from like some organic chicken, red meat, seafood is important for our bodies. Number 2 in best plant-based diet. Number 12 in best fast weight loss diet. Number 1 in best weight loss diet. There you go. Number 4 in best healthy diet. Number 1 in best diabetes diet. Number 3 in best diets for healthy eating. And number 3 in easiest diets to follow. So like I said, this is a new diet, but definitely has a lot of merit and a lot of value for helping for healthy lifestyle choices and managing and preventing health issues and health conditions, but pretty good for weight loss as well. So just incorporating a little bit, but not too much. Meat and seafood can go a long way. So the health benefits of the Flexitarian diet. So it's relatively new, so there really is limited research out there. Obviously, it provides the same benefits as a vegetarian diet, as I mentioned before, offsetting some of the negative effects of strictly adhering to vegetarianism or veganism. So there's no specific rules with following the Flexitarian diet, making it an appealing option for many individuals, allowing that space to tap into what their body needs from a day to day, week to week. So, you might just wake up one morning or in one evening, go, oh, I'm really just craving a good steak. So listening to your body's cues and having that steak, and maybe for the rest of the week, you're following a vegetarian diet. So a Flexitarian diet can be easily tailored to suit your nutritional needs and your health goals. So you have a ton of flexibility with this diet. So the pros and cons of this diet: it emphasizes nutritious foods. It's easy to accommodate personal preferences or needs. It's budget friendly. It's sustainable. It's very good at supporting weight loss and may help reduce the risk of diabetes. Cons: this may be difficult for those meat eaters that want to eat meat every day. So because you're consuming meat in limited amounts, you may be potentially at risk of an iron deficiency. And of course, there may be additional guidance for those with diabetes. So the last item I want to talk about that has been around, it was sort of like the big fad for a while, and then I feel like keto's taken over from it, but the paleo diet. So paleo diet's referred to as the Paleolithic diet, the Stone Age diet, the hunter-gatherer diet, or the caveman diet. So it's based on what our ancestors used to consume, basically hunting and gathering, going out and getting some wild meat, and then just gathering fruits and vegetables and berries, whatever's available. So it's based on animals, so consuming meat, fish, reptiles, insects, with a focus on nose to tail, consuming almost all parts of animals, including the organs, the bone marrow, the cartilage, the animal products such as eggs or honey, and of course vegetables, fruits, nuts, and seeds that can be eaten raw. So, while following the paleo diet, foods that became common when farming emerged about 10,000 years ago are avoided. So, no dairy products, no legumes, no grains, and of course, no processed foods like our other diets that we talked about before. So, this is the first diet that takes away grains. And it's interesting because I actually resonate with the paleo diet because I don't do well. A lot of people actually don't do well with dairy and gluten. So this might actually work with a lot of people with respects to that. It can be very hard. It can be easy for meat lovers to consume this diet and not consume as much fruits and vegetables as they should. But yeah, and what I thought was interesting that they took out the legumes, because to me, one of the biggest issues I have with clients come to us is that, I can't afford to eat healthy. And I find legumes very nutrient dense. They're high in carbs and protein and fiber. And actually, they're really loaded with antioxidants, but they're super cost effective. So I find legumes as a really cheap but nutrient dense food. So it's a shame that that's taken out of this diet, but I definitely think there's some value with taking out dairy and grains if you're someone that is sensitive to those food groups. Now, interesting with the paleo diet, it wasn't ranked very well at all. So it was, and this is out of 39 diets, so it was rated 31 in best diet overall, 24 for best fast weight loss diet, 32 in best weight loss diet, 32 in best heart healthy diet, 32 in best diet for diabetes, 30 for best diet for healthy eating, and 28 for easiest diet to follow. So these are all in sort of near the end range. So it's not considered the greatest diet. But again, it depends what works for your body. This might work amazing for you, but when you're looking at it compared to other diets, maybe there's another diet out there that's going to work better for you. So the health benefits of the paleo diet. So there was one study in 2017. Researchers compared people whose diets were mostly closely matched to the paleo diet with those that least followed the paleo diet. And they found they had a lower risk of all causes of mortality, cancer mortality, and cardiovascular disease mortality. Research has shown that participants that followed this diet had improved body composition. So one study in which participants followed this diet for 3 weeks lost an average of 5 pounds per person, as well as experienced slight reductions in waist circumference and systolic blood pressure. There is emerging research on the possible benefits for patients with multiple sclerosis and other autoimmune conditions. That's probably because we're getting rid of the dairy and the grains. So so I was really surprised that the paleo diet had such poor ratings. It is whole foods, but yeah, there's definitely other diets out there. So pros and cons of the paleo diet. So it is really rich in nutrient dense foods. When you look at bone marrow and cartilage, like they are full of like really good nutrients. It can help with people lose weight. So we saw that research in the previous slide. It may promote heart health, and it is linked to longevity, and it's good because it avoids some of those common food allergens such as dairy and gluten. So the con is that it actually limits major food groups, dairies, grains, legumes. It's unclear on its impact on gut health. You run a small risk of an iodine deficiency, but it can be costly and time intensive because it is focused on consuming a lot of meat, which is expensive. And again, it's whole food based, so you're preparing meals from scratch. And it may be difficult to follow long term. So in summary, the bottom line, and as I've mentioned this before, everyone's body chemistry is different. So the ideal diet for one person may not necessarily be the best approach for the next. I think the real focus is on whole, nutrient-dense foods. You may have to take out dairy or grains if you have sensitivities to it, but if you incorporate some kind of animal protein in there, it may actually work in your favor. So like I said, there is no one diet out there that fits everyone, but definitely the Flexitarian and the Mediterranean diet, out of the 4 that we spoke about today, were definitely considered a much better option. So your health goals, what disease or health condition that you're struggling with, along with your individual genetics and biochemistry, is all must be considered together to determine what dietary strategy is going to be best for you. So I hope you found that helpful. I definitely found it interesting doing the research on this, and there was, like I said, you can go onto that link that I showed you earlier and just look at all the other diets out there. The keto diet was actually rated really low as well, although I think it was quite high in the fast weight loss diet. But yeah, any feedback with regards to this or any information that you want to know about other diets, let me know and I can put another presentation together. Okay, thanks guys. Take care.